So here is a brand that has one of my favorite fragrances ever. That fragrance is Cacao Porcelana. I've done a video on it. I love that fragrance so much. Beautiful gourmand. Here we have a brand new release. This one is 2023 Cuir Nilam. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new leather, patchouli, and rose-based fragrance. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on the brand new Cuir Nilam by Atelier Materi, I'll tell you what I think about the notes, the performance, the smell, the evolution on my skin, any comparisons, so on and so forth. Before I begin, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, if you're a fan of leather, there's a lot of really interesting things happening in here. In addition to the leather, of course, you also have patchouli and rose, and you have some other ingredients. Some are on the brighter side of things, some are a little bit on the darker side of things. But of course, when it comes to leather, it's a fantasy note, right? It's actually an accord of a bunch of other ingredients to give the impression of leather, because there's no way that you can actually distill the essence from leather. There's no such thing as leather essential oil, for example. So let's see how this perfumer used her expertise to piece together this fragrance, what it smells like, any comparisons, of course. All the links are going to be down below. Not affiliate links. This is not a sponsored video. Let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation. So right when this fragrance opens up, you are going to get this spicy leather. That's what I got personally. I got a bit of like a spicy leather happening in here. And the leather accord is one that is very, very well done. I went online and I just wanted to see what people were saying about it. And people were making comparisons to a bunch of different fragrances. So I'm gonna let you know what I think. I'll try to dispel some of them if I think they're on the myth side of things, and I'll try to give you my own professional and personal opinion. The leather in here is very, very well done. You do have some leather fragrances on the market, personally speaking. They smell a bit musky, animalic. Some are bordering on the barnyard aroma, if you know what I'm talking about. There are some other leather-based fragrances that just kind of smell like saffron, right? There's a lot of saffron-based fragrances that just smell like leather, and that's the vibe that I'm getting here. So I'm getting a bit of a combination of like saffron and cardamom. And that spicy opening, I think, is really gonna put you in the mindset of, oh, this is gonna be a very exotic fragrance, very detailed, very exotic, very different. But that leather accord is similar to what you'd find in ombre leather by Tom Ford. So just have to be transparent about that. I've encountered many leather-based fragrances out there. This one lacks the fruitiness of Tuscan leather, so there's no raspberry in here to speak of. There's nothing fruity happening in this fragrance. As a matter of fact, there's patchouli and rose, so I think that kind of makes it almost veer into like amber territory. It just kind of adds that exotic appeal to the fragrance, but the leather and the spices really dominate in this blend. So imagine a fragrance where the spices are sitting up on top, the saffron, the cardamom, just giving off that leather vibe. Right beneath that rests that patchouli and rose combination. So it's kind of earthy. You do have that smooth texture in the heart. Not sensual, I would say, but it definitely comes off daring, charismatic, assertive, bold, and perhaps even a bit mysterious. And I love that element about it. The patchouli and some of these base ingredients in here obviously give the fragrance that longevity that we all crave, right? Nobody wants a fragrance that lasts 2 or 3 hours. This fragrance is going to get you 8 or 9 or even 10 hours, depending on your skin chemistry. It did phenomenally well for me. So this one is a really nicely done leather fragrance with that spicy appeal, that patchouli, that rose. It smells very dense, very exotic, quite different, but it does have that. And of course, we've seen a lot of fragrances utilize that sort of ombre leather accord. Of course, we have Godolphin by Marley, and we have so many different fragrances that kind of give off that, you know, ombre leather vibe. But this one is done differently. If you do a side-by-side with any of these other fragrances that I mentioned, you'll see that it can stand on its own. And I think it's such a beautifully done fragrance. If you're a fan of leather, you want a leather-based fragrance that smells exotic, mysterious, bold, charismatic, and perhaps even a bit assertive, supportive, definitely check out Cuir Nilam. I really hope you love this one. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, it does have a leather accord that is similar to Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, but it has some elements in here that are quite different, right? So you will get a bit of like a violet and cardamom and saffron vibe in it. So there's a bit of a floral tendency, especially with the rose that's in here, and it gets quite earthy in the dry down. So there is that element of uniqueness to it. In terms of the longevity, 9 or 10 hours on my skin personally. Projection was great for the first hour of application. It radiated within an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 7, skin scent right around hour 9 or 10. In terms of the versatility, perfect for a formal occasion, perfectly unisex, great for somebody who's a little bit older, and perfectly suitable for the colder weather, in my opinion, so fall and winter, depending on which part of the world you live in, of course. And in terms of the presentation, I love the presentation of this, the dark blue bottle and the porcelain looking cap. Just everything about it is really nicely done. My final verdict on this fragrance is exactly that. If you're looking for a very strong, potent, bold, charismatic, and exotic smelling spicy leather fragrance with accents of rose and patchouli, if you like fragrances like Go Dolphin by Parfum de Marly, Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, or even Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford, you definitely have to try this fragrance, Cuir Nilam by Atelier Materi. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you took something of value from today's episode. Hey, if you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload these daily videos to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.